This is the most important and crucial period in our country. What we decide now and what we do on this stage may well determine which way our lives shall go. The time to move from ambition to action is now. Not now. Not just now. Now. And it starts with you and I having the right conversations. Even if it's with a lump on your throat, start now. Start where you are. Start without followers. Start measuring success by impact and not likes. Start leading with purpose. At this very moment, we are the guardians. We are the test. We are the heroes and heroines we've been waiting for. To build a nation at its best starts with we, the people of South R. The Shilomana Group, Capricorn FM, and Power 987 bring you the 2025 Chairman's Conversation, The Power of Now, with Adrian Gore, the founder and CEO of the Discovery Group. The Chairman's Conversation, 23rd of October, 2025. Now we're talking.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Whether you are watching live on ENCA, streaming from all over the world, listening on Power 987, or tuned in to Capricorn FM, Limpopo's hottest frequency, please give a warm welcome to our award-winning Power 987 host of Power Breakfast, a legend with staying power, Mr. Tabiso Titi Dema.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And wow, what an introduction. I needed to do a double take to make sure it's actually me they were talking about. A warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chairman's Conversation 2025. Coming to you live this evening from Johannesburg in Johannesburg. We are surrounded by an audience full of some of South Africa's most influential and important personalities. But it's more than just about those in the room, as we welcome you, all of you joining us live via ENCA on Capricorn FM and, of course, on Power 98.7. Tonight, this event is brought to you by the Shilomana Group in partnership with ENCA and powered by a vision of urgency, integrity, and national renewal. It's a platform that we believe is not just about a ceremony or a celebration. It's a challenge to leaders and South African citizens alike to step forward and lead where it matters most and when it matters most, and that is now. But any serious conversation, I'm sure you would agree with me, ladies and gentlemen, must be started on a serious note. So allow me to please welcome my partner in crime on the Power Breakfast, Mr. Lebohang Pokela.
So much, TT. Thank you so much. But yeah, we need to start rethinking that partner in crime. Read the country, my brother. Read the country. But good evening to every single one of you, business leaders, political leaders. I'm seeing some esteemed guests that are here. I know that there are some guests that are probably watching from home as well. So I don't know which camera I should actually look into. Let me just say, hello, Cupcake. Oh, you guys look so beautiful tonight. And I was super impressed a bit earlier on. I saw people arrived here very early, looking nice, smelling very nice. And I was just thinking to myself, this is super impressive. But you guys didn't realize that this is the one place where you actually get rewarded for running late. Vitality points, guys. The one that jogged here last is the one that is getting the vitality points. So I'm hoping that we're going to be having ourselves a great time. I'm looking forward to the conversation that will be held a bit later on. And just a couple of rules of engagement before we get started, right? There are cameras that are moving around here. So let me just give you a pointer, talking about the climate that we're in, a pointer. Before you agree to take the picture, make sure that you know what line of business the person's in. You know exactly what they're actually selling, not just this thing of businessman. No, Make sure that you know, because you don't want to find yourself answering questions in front of small microphones and you are saying, I met him when I saw him. We don't want any of that stuff, right? But one thing that I'm actually looking forward to tonight with the conversation between Mr. Gore as well as Chairman Kari is us discussing the issue of inequality in South Africa, right? So let me just take a bit of time before I wrap up and quote the late, great Ora Tambo, saying, "It is our responsibility to break down barriers of division and create a country where all can be equal." So let me tell you a story about some inequality that I recently experienced. I was in a queue for a long time. But when I was looking right next to me, there were these people that were just walking past wearing K-way jackets and pushing trolleys. And I was like, why are these people walking past, walking straight through the gate? And I felt like this is such an unequal thing to be happening in South Africa in 2025. But I realized that it's priority fast track. Guys, thank you so much. Let me just fast track my way out of here. TT, over to you, my brother.
One more time. All right, I will not call him my partner in crime. That's Lebohang Pokela. He catch him on the power breakfast. One more time for Lebohang Pokela. So I want you to invite you to take a listen to this message that we believe captures the journey that Power 98.7 has been on in the last 12 years in getting South Africans engaged in our favorite sport, dialogue and conversation. But I think it's best captured in this message.
Power to your ambition. Power to what you stand for, what you believe in. To making something out of anything and everything out of nothing. Power to the wise, the warriors who conquer boardrooms, social battalions, and skeptical bureaucrats. Power to the courageous souls, the spiritual teleporters, them who raise future leaders while shaping leaders' futures, all in a day's work. Leaders in their own rights, crowd shakers, the groundbreakers. We say power to you, the harmonic, melodic airbender, the platform taker, the voice of reason, the perception shifter, the sister and brother from another mother. To you who envisions an Azania alive. To you who have your ear to the ground of this golden plateau. Immersed in conversations that are yet to be heard. To you who realize and materialize all that can possibly be done under the South African sun. You who won't give up until what's right is done. We say to all of you who know what's true, the time has come to dial into a frequency that allows you to really be you. To you we say power, Power FM. Now we're talking.
Indeed, now we are talking, and that brings us to the reason why we are here tonight, the Chairman's Conversation, a platform that seeks to platform and showcase some of South Africa's finest minds. And tonight's special guest is one such special South African. But to introduce him, please welcome the Chairman of the Schlumana Group, the founder of Power 98.7, Mr. Given Mkari.
I think you should come with me.
You call it.
I sit there. Yeah. Good evening. How do I introduce a giant, a man this tall?
It's a tough start. Okay.
What an honor to be at Discovery Place. What an honor to be sitting or standing in front of those of you who are in this room. And most importantly, to be standing in front of our parents, those in this realm and those who have passed to the other place. As an African,
the majority of my parents are on the other side. And yet they perpetually and continue to walk. And that Adrian has taken the risk to sit with me. His parents must be stronger. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome in his own house, the founder of Discovery Limited, a passionate South African. I think he's the only guy who I know who is a better father in this country, a good friend of his children, a leader, an activist, and a guy with some sauce, and we'll talk about sauce. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me with a round of applause to get this man to sit down. Mr. Adrian Gore. Okay, so we've been off for quite a few years as the chairman's conversation. Mainly one because of COVID, but we did do one with Dr. Royal Khoza. And then there was the most successful one, which we held with President Ramaphosa. Yes? Best we had in absentia, and the conversation continued without him. And here I are, still standing by the grace of God. I want to recognize my parent as our Papa. Please, ladies and gentlemen, Papa Kaifa Simia. Please, Papa, halkan well. But you want to. And of course, each and every one of you in this room is a VIP. But as they do, I'm a student of literature. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Also, from a safety and security point of view, given what's happening in this country, I want to assure you, Ala Madlanga case, we are all safe. General Holmes is here. And last time I checked, General Mtombeni. You know, people make noise about our brothers and sisters in KZN, about General Mtombeni, about General Mkwanas. We also have a general here, Wagam Mtombeni. Don't mess with that man. Right? And if you don't think he's well reinforced, we also have the Secretary General of MKP, Message. Sorry. Makawish Bambu, Africa Maibu, you're welcome. Commander. We also have amongst us the leader of the most fastest growing party in urban South Africa, my brother. I'm very biased, Magamkari Shilumana, Herman Mashab of Action SA. Where is my brother? Sugiyu. I think Juju is stuck in Cape Town. President Ramaphosa is allegedly in Asia. Oh, sorry, definitely in Asia. Deputy President Mashatile is somewhere in the world. I will not take the chances of recognizing business leaders, but I have to pay attention to one believer, a leader in this country, who Adrian hopefully will talk about a little later, who should be celebrated for this place, for these people. And I know he doesn't like the spotlight, but Mr. Lori Dipana, brother, please. I spoke about people who have crossed to the other side. This building has been blessed with a whole lot of leadership at board and executive level. And one of them, very personal to Adrian, to myself, and I think to a lot of us, a young South African, I think he was the youngest member of cabinet we had in the first administration, who was also one of the youngest governors of the Reserve Bank we had, who was also a minister of finance, and reluctantly was pulled back from retirement while he was having fun with you, Goldman Sachs, and a whole lot of other organizations. He served on the board of Discovery Group, I think twice, like he renewed.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah?
that's right.
Yeah. He, like Professor Tinyuko Maluleke, he, like our last guest of the chairman's conversation, Dr. Ruel Koza, who happens to be a director of the bank.
That's
Discovery
right.
Bank.
Chairman of the bank.
The chairman of the bank.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, coincidental or accidental myself, a proud product of Bankuna High in Goangoa, decided to go and join the smarter people on the other side. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like us to please respectfully, if you can stand up to pay tribute to remember Tito Mboweni. Hey, I can't say Mboweni. I can't say Banbalo Bodweni. I can't say Banbalo Sasikan. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You may have a seat. Adrian, you want to talk a bit about Tito? I know that you wrote a very deep personal tribute to him. What did this man mean to you? Some recollections about him.
Well, Tito became a very good friend of mine. He started out obviously as, on our board, and that was a very big step for us, and we're very proud to have him. He was an amazing man, incredibly, how can I say, intellectually curious, spoke his mind, kind of was absolutely on our board as someone who cared about the growth of the business, how it did, the quality of what we did, really kind of the business in his was critical, which is a very powerful quality for a director. Often you get people focused on governance only. He was a passionate person, and he was incredibly intellectually flexible. You know what I mean? He was really curious, and over the years we became very good friends, and the loss was a big thing. I mean, he got very ill, and that was obviously very, very tragic. But right to the end, he was quite an incredible individual. I was in a dinner club with him that kind of debated a lot of policy issues and complex issues. Always the most fun guy and completely self-effacing. You know what I mean? He could laugh. He looked like he was, what's the word? Kind of wanting to be in control, but quite the opposite. Loved being challenged. Amazing guy. A real softy, amazing guy. A real loss, really. And went young, I mean, which is,
I'd never got to see the note, but I was told that you wrote him a very deeply personal. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, I did.
You can just share a bit.
Well, similar things to what I've said here. He had this unique ability to be accessible, but at the same time very senior. You know what I mean? You were someone who was very senior, very accomplished, but he had an amazing sense of humor, amazing ability to laugh at himself in a funny sort of way. Loved intellectual challenge and fighting, but was in pursuit of the truth. What works. Amazing guy.
Can't help listening to you describe Tito. It sounds like you describe me yourself.
Very different. Very different.
Well, except for that, your taste of football club it's off.
We spoke about this earlier.
This man supports Man U. What? Guys, I didn't say Chelsea. I said Man U. But in motorsport, it's on the right side of history. You're red, right?
I'm red. I'm red. I'm not as passionate as you, I think, but yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm more of a Louis fan than I'm a Ferrari fan.
Yeah.
You're more Ferrari, but you're a Porsche guy.
These are bad habits.
Yeah.
These are bad habits too.
He's a petrol head.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Mr. Gordon, Liberty. You're a young actuary. I often wonder actually if guys who study actuarial sciences, like you get to be so smart that your parents say you must be actuary. Or there's a passion involved in that stuff. It sounds boring.
You mean the actual career? It's actually not boring.
It's actually not boring.
It's actually not boring. It's a wonderful, and I mean it, it's a wonderful what's the word, privilege. The training is rigorous, and it gives you a considerable ability to understand finance and institutions and business. And if that's what excites you, it's not boring. And I think the biggest thing for me, which is kind of what we talk about, is its ability to let you scale things. To understand how to really scale and manage institutions. And that's actually, for me, was the exciting revelation, was the ability to do something that could have impact, So it wasn't it's not ideal training for small, business. It's an institutional training, but it's what you make of it. I mean, I think any profession can be stretched from doing something mundane to doing great stuff, So I'm actually very grateful for the training.
Did the entrepreneurs at Liberty inspire you out of the business or frustrate you out of the business to start your own?
Inspired me, because I think what happened to me is joining a company at that stage, which was an incredible company, I guess still is, but was really entrepreneurial, but of considerable scale. But what excited me was the kind of revelation of what an institution can do for society. You know what I mean? You go into stuff as a young graduate, and you're kind of very self-focused, and how am I going to enter what I'm going to do? But I had this kind of epiphany there, and this feeling of, wow, we can really make a difference, at scale. You can really influence society. And I was just fortuitously given, working under one of the main directors, and just had a bird's eye view of just the scale of what this thing did, the kind of involvement in geopolitical issues and complex, it inspired me. It really inspired me. So far from chasing me out, I actually was inspired, and I felt, geez, if you could build something at that scale from the ground up, that would be an unbelievable.
So you come out of product development at Liberty, and something in you says, we can do this ourselves. How do you come to be in contact with people like Laurie and the team at First Group? How did that come about?
It's interesting to tell the story with our first chairman here, and my real mentor, I have to say that. I had this interesting idea at Liberty, and my co-founder Barry, who's here, we worked together.
Where's Barry sitting?
I know he was here. There he is.
There he's supposed to be in the front.
Yeah.
I think you should check out the general and take a seat.
So the idea of a health insurance product was not done. It was, medical aid schemes, and they were actually in those days very, very kind of poorly managed, and people were seeing this massive rise of medical inflation. And we had this idea of building a health insurance product properly with actuarial principles and etc. And we launched the product, and it just absolutely took off,
Yeah.
And I had this kind of sense: could that product be blown out into a proper health insurance business? Not just a product line. And that idea kind of percolated. And one of the guys I studied actuarial science with said to me, if you want to do it, RMB had this dormant life insurance company, a life insurance license, so to speak. It was a dormant license, and why not go and see them? And that was the catalyst. I then, just fortuitously, went down and met Laurie. We had
You don't just fortuitously meet a big guy like this. How did that come about?
Well, it's interesting, and he may have a different view to me. But, Liberty in those days was a really successful, powerful company, and we had this, I think, inflated sense of self. So I wasn't intimidated. That's not a fair thing to say. But in truth, I met Laurie, and I had an immediate sense that this is a person of considerable ability and stature. It kind of hit me kind of immediately. And that, for me, was quite a powerful interaction that we had. And
And what is your ask of him at the time?
You ask.
Your ask.
My ask. Interestingly, was the idea of a health insurance company. It started exactly as I've described it, and amazingly, there was no business plan. There was no capital requirement. I mean, you're taught in business school that you need to have a cash flow analysis and capital. It was more about the concept of building a great company, values, impacting the country, etc. And I think I hope that kind of I think it resonated with Laurie's real scale sense of doing the right thing, and we kind of immediately developed a chemistry. It wasn't a transactional bantering about. It was about a shared vision.
Right.
About quality.
They have the license, they have the infrastructure. What do you excite them about for them to say, we're backing this young man? at the time?
I
Other
think
than the fact that you
you'd have to ask Laurie, but I think
Can I get a microphone? Laurie, I know you're a God-fearing man. I know you are very honest. What sweet nothings did this young man at the time present to you? What made you back him?
Well, I'm going to start off and just give an interim step that Adrian forgot.
Yes.
When he came to see me the first time, I said, what do you want to do with this license? And what he described then was not health insurance, but it wasn't disruptive enough. So I said, sorry, this is not disruptive enough, but if you do come up with something that is truly disruptive, please call me again. I thought I would never see him again. A year later, he gives me a call and he describes the Discovery Health product with a medical savings account. That was the thing that triggered something in me. And so I thought, no, this is a disruptive product. And he sort of sketched all the problems the other medical aids were having, sort of very bureaucratic and that type of thing. And so then we agreed. He had to resign at Liberty. We gave him an office. We paid him his salary, the same as he got at Liberty. And we said, you got 3 months to come up with a business plan. And if we like it, we'll back you. If we don't like you, you're on your own.
Wow.
And that's how it
And
happened.
3 months later?
We came up with a plan that we liked. And I'm proud to say that RMB was the first client, I think, of the health insurance product.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dipena. Sounds familiar?
Sounds very familiar. And I'll tell you the lesson I learned, and to credit to Laurie and the RMB folk, was that having experienced people challenging you, because Laurie describes it correctly, but it's a challenge. I think the idea of having RMB as a first client there was no give in that. If you remember, we're pretty clear. You've got to sell that product to the bank, and if they buy it, they buy it. So that kind of independent challenge was one of the things I think that really got us into a level of really, can I say, kind of a focus on quality. But I think, Laurie, we brought an institutional kind of mindset to a startup from the get-go. This was not a cutting corners. It was all about governance, proper capital. So the plan that we eventually agreed was pretty substantial and thorough, but it was a fantastic start. And as I say, my relation with Laurie has been, for me, a massively powerful asset. Still to this day, I go to the
And you remain fairly invested in the group in your individual capacity, right? You still invested. Made some good time? Often, emerging and young entrepreneurs struggle with the question of, if I've got this idea that I'm very passionate about, and I go to an Adrian, do I look for equity? That is expensive. You don't have a proven concept. How did you structure your original business partnership? I mean, the guys backed you. Was there an equity discussion? Where did we land?
I think I landed poorly. No, I think as a young entrepreneur, and I actually had, and Barry, my co-founder, we had these discussions many, many times. I think you have to be careful not to be too greedy.
Okay.
I really think you've got to value the shareholders that you're going to get. It's a very, very expensive decision, but the quality of the shareholders you get is critical, I can tell you. I'd rather have less equity with shareholders that back you, and not unconditionally, but to an extent a long-term mindset. And I think that was in fact, I think part of the chemistry that we had was a long-term mindset of this is going to take time, don't rush it, etc. So I think when you think about equity and, as a young entrepreneur, obviously you want to maximize what you get. But I think if you're trying to build a business of quality, the shareholders you get, their patience, their support, their value add is often more than just capital.
And often you don't know these guys, right? So you would have at least traveled a bit of time. How how would you say, what are the key considerations in determining whose check or bag you're going to take? Because some of it can be more expensive than money.
I actually
Could end up taking pictures with people you shouldn't be taking pictures with.
Simple view, values. If you have a values fit, you will be sustainable. Every business has difficult times. We've been through complex, difficult issues over time. The values and a shared vision, shared set of values and deep trust is for me, was the secret of the secret of our entire business. To this day, the focus on purpose and values. But I think that's the one thing. I would rather take a worse deal than having shareholders just in it for the short term, no sharing of values. It's actually for me a very simple answer. And I think Barry, my colleague there, would say the same thing. We've all stayed together. The relationship with Lowry and the original founding group remains as it is, because it wasn't about how do we make money quickly. In fact, quite the opposite. You recall, Larry, the first start took us a long time. And I came and said, we're not getting traction here, And Larry's like, listen, relax. It's going to take time, So you need, especially when you're a young entrepreneur, you need that sounding board. You need that support. And simply put, values.
This is the 2025 Chairman's Conversation. We're live from Sandton in Johannesburg, live on Capricorn FM, Power 98.7, and our friends at eHoldings ENCA. My guest for this year is this brother over here. I forgot to ask you, are you Adrian, are you Mr. Gore, or can I call you AG?
No one calls me AG, but I like it. So do it.
I've called him AG for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
So you're AG, is that correct?
Very happy.
Cool. People who work with you say that you are too disciplined for their liking.
Well, it's probably not untrue. I am a very strong believer in not discipline in the discipline sense, but in discipline around, how can I say, values, purpose, schedule, rigor, excellence. That's just how I'm coded. And I used to laugh with the late Tito because he came for lunch and I gave him a salad and he was not impressed.
You don't give a shit about salad.
Whoever he met, he would say, I can't eat with this guy. He gives me, sticks and all kinds of nonsense to eat. So that's my personality. But I think to build anything at scale, whoever that is, there are certain madnesses and certain. I don't think you scale easily without discipline. I really don't.
Yeah. So you, on average, wake up. What happens next? Wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning?
I actually wake up typically about 2:30
in the morning.
I work for an hour.
So I didn't say what time you go to sleep. Wake up.
No. I have a strange routine, so I shouldn't be telling this on TV, but
don't worry, it's on radio. No one can see you.
So I go to bed reasonably early, 10 o'clock, but I wake up at 2:30. I work for an hour and a half typically. Then I go back to sleep for an hour. Okay. So I have a kind of a strange routine, and I'm up at 5:15, 5 o'clock.
Right. What happens next?
I typically work and catch up, get ready for the day, do a very quick exercise routine that actually has become my signature. It's a hard 1 kilometer burst. And I've actually proven with that intensity, you don't need much time. You need 7 minutes. I'm out and back in a few minutes.
Right.
And then I've always took my children to school.
School, yeah.
So I take my little boy to school. And then I'm in the office typically 7:30 after
You
that.
skipped a step? Do you not do a 5 stopover at mums and dads? Your parents?
Yes, if I can.
Yeah.
But my parents, on the way, they are elderly. I like to go see them if I can. I don't often get a chance, but if I can, I do. So the morning is family.
Yeah.
But I'm in here by 7:30. I've caught up on my calls. I've done probably 2 hours of work by the time I get here. And I'm a great believer in that 5 a.m. club. That in the early morning, there's a certain intensity that you can't get in the middle of the day. So I've learned to do that. It's been very good for me.
Right. Average duration of a meeting that you can take? Like 10 minutes later, I'm out. I want to smoke.
Yeah, I know. I can meet and concentrate for a long, long time. Doesn't bother me. So our meetings typically, I'm pretty ill-disciplined in that regard. If there's an issue that I like to get involved in, I see my colleague Hilton here. He'll know that we can talk for hours and hours on an issue. So I'm a believer. You mustn't be too bureaucratic with time. There's an issue that really is interesting and important. We spend time on it. But I'm like you. I'm fastidious about. I'm not late. I find it very, very disrespectful. I'm on time, and if I'm late, I call before. I don't miss meetings. Time is critical in our business, in any business.
What's the story with running steps every day, bro? Like, why? Why do you torture yourself?
So this obsession with the belief that high intensity, short periods of exercise has led me to a strange custom. This building has got very tall floors, so I have one of the fire escapes that I use here, and I do this kind of up and down between meetings, and I burn it.
How regularly?
So how?
How regularly? Like how often in a day?
Every 2 hours. I can be in a board meeting and go out and do the stairs. And what's mad about it is not only my madness, but my colleagues. They don't even question it. They're like, "You're going to run the stairs?" Yeah. I'll see
Hey,
the
good luck questioning the boss. Yeah.
So there's no, but it is, it's a lesson for me in health. You don't need much time. You don't need a fancy gym. If you've got a staircase, you can do it. So, but I challenge you, from -1 to the 8th floor here is a brutal climb. Your heart rate, and I burn it. There's no compromise. I push as hard as I can. I'm not a sweater. I don't sweat, luckily.
Hoekom?
No, it's actually unlucky.
You've run out of
in a suit with a tie, I can do it.
Yeah.
I don't sweat.
Yeah.
This is very personal stuff you're asking me here.
It's a conversation. We're just chatting. It seems to permeate in the organization, because I deliberately said that you're a hard disciplined man, but you're often credited with giving your teams so much autonomy, space to operate. Why take that risk? I mean, you've built this global institution. Is it the time to check senses with young people like Mr. Governor and Hilton and Ms. Peach and all of them?
Firstly, to say that this is not trite at all. The reality, I didn't build it. We collectively built it. So there's no risk at all. That's one issue. The other is we hire super smart people. And therefore, I'm by a long shot not the smartest. There are smart people in our group. And the entire value system is values, not rules. You know what I mean? No one in our leadership team, you just spent 2 days on this very issue. This is not about kind of setting, codifying rules. It's about getting the right people, again, the same issue, same values, same purpose. So we focus on purpose, make people healthier, and a set of values. And we kind of let people within that kind of, that confidence band, do brilliant things. And the core of our group is about liberating the best in our people, the belief that there's greatness in everyone. And if we can kind of create the kind of space to do it, you won't believe what happens. And guess what? If you look around, that's what this team has done. So this is not I'm not a great leader. I'm very disciplined, as you say, and focused. I'm not a command and control leader. I don't believe in it. I don't think you manage people with knowledge and intellect in complex problems with, command and control. You've got to facilitate values and give people space.
You speak a lot about the power of attitude over everything else. This would apply to your own view of yourself as well as that of the business. And we'll talk about the country a little later. Talk to me about what attitude means and how it influences how we manifest as beings.
Listen, I have to tell you, I hold the strongest view that I don't mean there's no reality. I just think that attitude is causal. In other words, your attitude determines a lot of where you end up. I have this very strong belief that, this idea that there are fundamental issues that happen and then you have an attitude about it. I have the opposite view. Attitude drives the reality.
Expand?
Well, I think how you think about things, how you vision things, how you think about where you want to be, leads to you taking decisions and a bias for action. And, life is completely different between people who are kind of very pessimistic and, who don't take kind of positive, active decisions. So I'm a great believer that I don't mean naive optimism. I mean attitude that things are soluble, opportunities are there, and you must take them. And I'm a great believer in kind of personal agency. You have the ability to determine your destiny, and that is attitudinal. Things aren't as they are.
Sounds soft, right? I mean, today's what? It's a Thursday. 2 days' time, there will be millions of South Africans going to church with a lot of belief and attitude that God will make it rain. Some of them, their attitude sponsors some in Malawi. And they're still stuck. How much of your outlook to attitude is your own spiritual DNA? How much of it is psychological? Are there people who are born with a predisposition to be optimistic and those who are born dark and pessimistic, in your view?
I think that is true. I think people do have different inherent emotions about things, and some people are pessimistic, some are optimistic. But my comment is not soft. It's actually more about agency, about choice. And it's not about optimism of being happy and optimistic about the future. It's about a belief that you should be disciplined in seeking out positive opportunities. And in that, at the same time, thinking about the negative that you face and making choices rationally. So it's not a soft idea at all. Quite the opposite, without going into much of it. But if you look at the research, we evolved, millions of years ago, where the dangers were physical, being eaten by a wild animal, etc. So we searched for danger, right? There were a lot of people who didn't search for danger, right? They're dead, right? So right. We are the children. We are the children. We're genetically coded.
Are the children of the cowards who ran away from them?
So that's right. So we are coded to look for negative issues, right?
Yeah.
The fact is that the Industrial Revolution, the Agricultural Revolution, that happened 100,000 years ago. So the world we're in now is we miscoded. We still are coded for a world of physical threats. But the threats today are the breakdown of government, of governance, of corruption, of systems, not animals. And in that, I will tell you that the way to get results is to seek the positive, because when you're working with people, networks and boards of directors and executive committees and thousands of people, to get your message across, things work better with seeking the positive signals, finding where the opportunities are. So my attitude is an intellectual one. It's not a naive one about things will be better.
Is that actually type of a formula to optimism?
There is
can you bring some science to it?
No, there's a lot of science about what I'm saying. There's evolutionary biology that will tell you this. That's number one. But number two, there's a lot of work about how networks and people work together. And negative feedback doesn't do well. You don't get results in that. So there's a lot of work on that. And I hope I'm not being too technical, but the power of that is incredible. I'm a great believer in leadership through seeking opportunities, catching people doing something right, not wrong. People learn more from success than failure. There's a lot of work on that stuff. So I'm a great believer. Now, that doesn't mean I'm an actuary by training. We understand risk, we price it. My point is, I think you get better results in life when you are realistic about the negative risks, but you work hard to see the positive ones, because you're not coded to do that. We don't see them. We're looking for negative stuff.
You talk about, what do you call it? The hope paradox. What do you call it? I thought it was quite cool. Where you juxtapose people's attitude towards country, nation, vis-a-vis how they apply the same outlook in their individual lives. Just break it down for me.
Well, people around the world are declinist about the country they're in.
Declinist.
Declinist. They think things are declining. That's how we are. So wherever you go, people say things aren't like they used to be. In South Africa, we've got real challenges, and I'm realistic about that. But that with the declinist mindset gives us constant view that we're on the edge of a precipice.
Right.
The contradiction, this paradox that you talk about is we all believe our own future will be better, but the environment will be worse. And that's part of this coding, So it is an important issue, because I think if you can think more rationally than how you code it, you can really seek
So,
advantage.
I'm very bullish about the future of my daughters, yet I'm saying that this country is going down. And the question is, how is that future going to be when the Titanic is going down? How do I resolve that for myself in a way that it can be our collective mindset so that we don't just watch and commentate about the Titanic that is going down, but that we become active participants or activists in saving it. And that is if it's going down at all.
Well, firstly, I think that emotion is natural, right? Secondly, I don't underrate the challenges we have as a country. So and I'm often spoken, you're the optimist who, I'm not the optimist. I'm actually saying to you, you've got to seek positive opportunity, but be realistic about the negative. So I think you've got to be rational about the risks that we face, and you've got to be, I think, rational about the hopes and aspirations for your children and try and manage them together. But I'm a believer that when you are facing issues of difficulty, one of the great tactics is agency, taking control, get involved,
Right.
fix. It's amazing how much better people feel when they're part of fixing something rather than sitting on the sideline and complaining. And that actually really plays to the coding of negativity. And I think social media amplifies it, where you listen to podcasts and you go to things that just
That's
tell
why
you
you
what
should
you want to hear.
always listen to radio. Because people have got faces, they've got names, they're regulated, they're accountable. When I'm saying about trender, and then they lie to you. You're right, radio.
This was all a conversation to make that
It's a
point about.
conversation, It's a conversation.
But I want to stress
Yes.
in this
Yeah.
issue, I'm not
Yeah.
suggesting
Yeah.
naivety or not understanding problems. Quite the
Yeah.
opposite. Understand them deeply, but
Yeah.
don't get caught in the negative emotion. Be much more activist in, dealing with them, moving from them, addressing them, helping. That process of declinism on its own, in isolation, in a vacuum, just makes you paralyzed, and I think it takes you down a road that is dark and unsuccessful.
Correct.
And your potential doesn't come out.
So, AJ, if you could remind us about things that, in your view, are working in this country that we have or are taking for granted, that despite and in spite the challenges, you go, South Africa, remember one about yourself. What are the things that we should never forget about this place?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I think you shouldn't forget, is that it's a great country. I say that not lightly, because I think one of the most, I hope I keep sounding very technical, one of the most powerful things that human beings are motivated by is potential loss, right? Not potential gain. When you know you've got something to lose, it motivates you. And when you think about a country with its potential, right, you suddenly think we've got a lot to lose. We can't tolerate some of the things that we see. When you think there's nothing to lose and there's nothing here and it's all downhill, that's a dangerous emotion. So the first thing I have to tell you, just bear in mind, this is a big country with a big economy, with wonderful people. Before you get caught in the corruption and the crime and that stuff, which is real and problematic. But I'm saying, once you kind of take a view that there's a lot to lose, there's something special, then your attitude about those other things actually is actually less tolerant, because, you're screwing up our great country, right? Just remember that. Rather than, things are, what the issues are. And I think I always quote some of this data, the Joburg Cape Town flight route is the I think in the top 15 or 20 busiest in the world.
Joburg to Cape Town.
Joburg to Cape Town is, I think, the 15th busiest route in the world. 80% of Africa's long-term assets, pension assets, are in South Africa. We talk about the Ukraine, and when the war happened in Russia, when the regional war started, about the scale of the country and its effect on the world and agriculture. That Gauteng's economy is almost the size of the Ukraine. People don't believe that. So I'm giving you some data. I'm not minimizing. I'm saying that I think we do better in leadership if we give people a sense of what we've got to lose.
So for you and I, Adrian, great country, size of the economy, maybe something valuable that we cherish. For someone who's unemployed, has got nothing to eat, has got a degree, either doesn't get a bursary or whatever. All those things sound niceties. They're sentimentally nice for Mr. Adrian Gore and his friends. What is it that you and I can present to even the most despondent members of our society that there's still something worth fighting for with their lives in this country?
Given I'll tell you this, I think that those problems are huge and problematic, and in fact, I hope I'm getting across the point that once you realize what there's to lose, that's the stuff that we're going to focus on. And that's why everything we're doing as business, this partnership with government is about growth, jobs, narrative. Creating economic growth, because that leads to jobs, and growth in jobs creates confidence, and confidence drives investment. And I think that when you are absolutely obsessed with the potential of the country, and we have to get growth, the only thing I can say is the only way to get that young guy a job is to get economic growth. And every part of our being, I think, is trying to get that growth at everything we're doing.
Well,
so
they watch, well, they don't watch TV. They do. They listen to Capricorn and Power and others, and they watch television, and they hear their monies being charged by uneducated fools who are close to General Holomisa, by way of example. Terrible example. Maybe close to my brother Emin Mashava. Nah. Maybe Floyd. Nah. Maybe my sister Patricia Dillon. Maybe Makashi Legano on the other side. A lot of our political figures have done an excellent job in diluting people's confidence in leadership. And business seems to have also outsourced from a distance. That we're not seeing you guys protesting, certainly not overtly. Are you playing your part? You're the deputy president of BUSA. You've done BLSA, CEO Challenge, SME funds. These are things that are known within your circle of influence and proximity. Is business active, involved, worried, propagating, advocating for change? When you see 2 billion of a hospital being chowed seamlessly, what do you say to yourself as a leader, Adrian?
I think it's totally unacceptable. It's egregious. It is absolutely unacceptable. The death of individual whistleblowers, the whole thing that we're seeing is completely and totally unacceptable. What business is doing is I feel that we are doing a lot. The partnership with government is something that's completely unusual. I think it's unprecedented in many countries. You've got literally hundreds of CEOs who are working and involved in trying to fix things. I think one of the most powerful things we did with government was fixing Eskom. But I have to tell you, that must be one of the biggest issues facing this country. So this load shedding issue lasted for how long? More than a decade.
Yeah.
And got to a point of 290 days, I think in 2020, whenever it was the peak of it, 290 days of up to stage 6 load shedding. I can tell you, we had contingency plans of how you shut this building down, and how you get people safe with barbed wire around if the grid goes down. I'm saying the country was facing a real crisis. I think the business partnership focusing on how we fix the stuff with government, with various people, and there's some really good people in the different SOEs. Be careful not to corral everyone together. Got amazing traction. To turn that around in 9 months is unbelievable. Outside of our lane, I think business put in something like 350 experts. We raised 350 million rand to do that. And this was not about self-interest.
Yeah.
This was about a collective caring for the country. And the entire initiative was based on this pledge of we believe in the potential of the country.
This is the CEO's pledge.
CEO pledge.
Do you want to maybe just pause there? Take us through the thinking of the CEO pledge, what it says in a nutshell, and how it has been put into practice. The Eskom example being quite a very good example.
I think the business has, over many years, worked with government and tried to work with government. And it's not an easy process for both sides. There's different ideology, often different issues. We took a view as a kind of a small group that we should try and kind of change that dynamic. And in fact, a lot of the learnings in the COVID era, of how we could work in a kind of a combined way, were part of that. And so we put this pledge out of the real belief, forget about organized business and all these structures. Individual CEOs and corporations need to come to the front in a way. And
this is outside BUSA or in
this is
individuals.
It's individuals. It's under the auspices of BUSA, but it's really individuals. But
right.
the issue here was we want CEOs at the time, rightly, were every single results announcement. CEOs were saying worried about Eskom, what's going to happen, highly critical, correctly so. And I think individuals were courageous and protesting at the time, and rightly so. But we kind of said, we know we're in a bad situation, but do you believe in the potential of the country?
Yeah.
And the answer was unequivocally yes, we do. So this was kind of a very emotive but important symbolism of sign a pledge with us that we all collectively believe in the potential of the country. I can tell you it took us 1 or 2 days to get it done. There was no debate, an easy thing, back to this concept of people seeing positive feedback in how we could work. And that kind of started the process, but it led to a very sophisticated interaction with government. Very good governance, structures of committees, 3 focuses, rail and ports and logistics, energy, crime and corruption, 3 distinct areas. And a sense that if we get that fixed, you start turning the wheel for growth, economic growth. And the whole focus is about not our businesses, jobs. We know the problem. There are 14 million unemployed people. It's a crisis of such proportion back to your individual.
Yeah.
So the focus was how do we do that? And I think it's been a remarkable success.
So with a great case study like that, do you find that the trust levels between business, leaders in particular, and government have improved? And are we seeing similar initiatives taking place? Post-energy, ports have been a massive concern. Now we are increasingly getting accustomed to not having water in a city. That CEO pledge and those convoy for your brass, ladies and gentlemen, what's the thing that is giving them sleepless nights at the moment, and what are they doing about it?
I think this my impression of so-called CEOs, they're individuals like you and me. They're scared of the same things, of real failure, of water, so people are people, that's my experience. But on all the focus areas we've done, we've got traction. Energy being the big one. But in fact, even the ports, and credit now to some of the work being done by government in that.
But what's happening in the ports?
The ports are improving.
Yeah?
They're definitely improving.
As in, is business involved in that turnaround?
There's been strong business involvement in that, in the railways as well. So, the tonnage, I think that was possible in the network was coming down dramatically at about 140 megatons. It was 250 at its peak. So we can't get the goods to the ports. The country can't make money. We can't grow the economy. That got turned around to about 160 or thereabout. It should go faster, but a lot of good work is taking place now.
Yeah.
So I think that we've got to be realistic. It's an amazing ability, because naturally in a developing country, a lot of the skills and resources sit in the private sector. So if you can find a structure where you can get this kind of collaboration, the ability to make real change we've seen it. So now water's the next problem. As a country, these things are hugely, hugely problematic. They are. I worry about them as a person like you do. Problematic. But can we fix them? I think we can. The one thing about South Africa, which I think is paradoxical, is this constant sense that we're kind of at the edge of the cliff, and it's good to know that. So it keeps us.
Yeah.
But we tend to.
We did that even well with football. We recently didn't quite qualify for the World Cup. Yeah. And okay, let's watch them. Let's just give them a heart attack.
Yeah.
And just when they think we're down, oopsie, we're back.
Yeah. Now we fix things in a messy way.
Yeah.
We fix them.
But we fix them nevertheless.
We fix them. And I just want to stress, they're unacceptable.
Yeah.
They should never happen.
Yeah.
They shouldn't happen. But as business, we are trying our best to make sure we can help fix them. And I've seen they are fixable. Things can be fixed. So
there's a very deep suspicion on, it's a contradiction. On one hand, we challenge you as business to play, but given our history, we don't trust business. How much of what business does is about self-interest? You want to capture the state. And our leaders hear from you guys. Or do you really care about growth and transformation?
Listen,
And I didn't call you Abdul Gupta. I'm just, because when I say capture.
listen,
Oh, maybe you are. I'm told that President Ramaphosa listens to you.
no, business is a group of very different people all over the place. My impression of our big businesses are they're well run and well governed by honest people. That doesn't mean that there isn't dishonesty, but my impression is that they are well run and very well governed, and I think that's well known. Our banks, our financial services sector is incredibly well governed, regulated, something we should be proud of. My impression of this challenge that we've had is a collective sense of helping fix the country. We've been explicit about every interaction that we have. We're there as a collective. There's no individual businesses making. We're there as a collective. We are not policymakers. We are helping execute. We don't get involved. So there's no governance issues. That's for the elected government to do. We are helping execute. And something that I should tell you is that the research we've done, and you can check it out, business is the most trusted entity today in the country. So if you look at actual, which is unusual in different countries, you actually look at the research and you ask people, the business sector is well trusted, unusually so, more so than many of the other sectors. And that's been I think at the core of our sense that we've got some legitimacy. Use it to help the country. I don't get a sense of there is self-interest, of course, in all of us, right? But the reality is this is our home. We've got to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, in your space, for example, you recognize that you're not a policymaker. You want to help execute. But your industry as well, it's been the very same people who challenge government when they talk about wanting to open up healthcare insurance to as many people as possible, NHI, then you take them to court. Why should it be trusted?
I hope that actually illustrates that you should. When there's a disagreement on policy, we stand up and make that point. Our view is that NHI, without the private sector involvement, without the resources and the funding that you need, is not workable. So we have put on the table an alternative that we think is workable.
Let's summarize the alternative. What's your proposition in that respect? So we want inclusivity. We want to take as many people and expose them to quality healthcare. The numbers are not numbering. How do you solve that? Let's start from the scratch. You've got a blank page. AG and the team, how do we deal with this problem from your perspective?
How you deal with it is you get as much money into the system as possible, as many doctors and nurses, and you train more of them because we've got too little funding, too little doctors, and too few doctors and nurses to get the scale of healthcare that the country needs. And I think the one thing you don't do is kind of limit the private sector where a lot of that funding is. So the primary issue with NHI is not the concept of NHI. We've been pretty clear. NHI is directionally workable. But you must include the private sector funding, else you're not going to have the money. You'd have to raise...
What do you mean by include private sector funding?
Well, the funding structure, we've got medical aid schemes that have a huge amount of funding in them. If you shut them down and you now start taxing people and put it into a fund, you're going to have a very, very complicated...
So when you look at the mechanics of NHI, other than that, and I think it's an unfortunate clause, that almost pronounces on the demise of private medical insurance. Other than that, and assuming that that can be negotiated and some kind of an agreement is reached, what else is a thorn to your sector about the NHI?
I don't think there's a thorn, and I have to stress to you, the private healthcare sector is desirous of the same thing. Can we make healthcare more accessible, more affordable, more equitable? There's no debate about that. It's a technical debate of how you make it work. And to be fair, you make the point about medical schemes shutting down. This is a multi-generational, multi-decade process. We don't have the resources as a country. You need a massive amount of resources to actually do that. So the debate at the moment is about how you can make that system more better funded, how that process is in fact sustainable. You're not going to make it work by...
Surely, having spoken about, I mean, there's a lot of work you're doing. Operation Vulindlela. As Busa, you guys are at NetLec. Word has it that when Trump and CR were making fools of themselves in the Oval Office, you were sitting next door. So access is not a big issue. Have you ever sat down with our brother here, the president, and my homeboy Aaron Mutsalidi and Joe Pasha and the registrar, all those people, to say, guys, we understand what you're working towards, but we think it can be better achieved this way. Have such efforts been made?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what happens?
The BUSA has been absolutely clear of meeting with government and making it clear that we are supportive of NHI. To make it workable, you need to be more inclusive of how the private system and NHI should work together. Mm-hmm. And I think there's an intellectual acceptance of that.
Okay.
It's a complicated process of debate. And my sense is over time, as we go through that debate, we'll find each other. So I actually don't have that.
Is there anybody mediating? Especially with the court case. I mean, our country is not very rich. We're spending, and there's some very good friends in this room who are lawyers, and I'm very happy for them. But surely some of it does not require litigation. I mean, the so-called democracy that we have, or the democracy we have, at some stage is a product of a negotiated process.
I think so, and in my experience, that ultimately does happen.
Yeah.
But I have to say, if there are policy disagreements and they need to be tested, that's how things work. I don't think we should be scared of that. I don't even think that that's an offensive or an aggressive strategy.
Right.
I think there are differences of opinion about how policy works, and if you need to test them constitutionally or in a court of law, I think it's a healthy thing. But I do think ultimately we'll find a way on that. I'm not overly concerned. I think that there's an appreciation in the private sector that kind of an NHR structure has to be made workable. We're committed to doing it. And I think there's an appreciation on the other side that to kind of have one fund and shut everything down is not going to work.
So, commercial break. Why did you go to the Oval Office that day? Where were you?
Well, we went as a group to try and kind of, how can I say, create better relations with the US.
Yeah.
That was the intention. And especially on a lot of issues that the US administration seemed to have views on that necessarily weren't based on fact, etc. And that was the intention.
Yeah.
It was pretty tough.
Yeah. Why were you not in the room? I'm told you're in the room next door, listening through the wall.
No.
Don't say that.
No, at the last moment, the Trump administration wanted another golfer on our side, right? And suddenly the importance of business, etc., kind of went out the window. But I would have made a difference to that.
You should sharpen your golfing skills, brother.
Yeah. So it was a complex.
As you were watching, having done, I know the amount of prep work you had done leading to that. As you were watching that movie, what was happening to your heart?
I think like most South Africans, I was pretty worried.
Would you encourage more of us to run or to play golf?
Having said that, I think there were some barriers that were broken down.
Yeah.
That's my impression.
Yeah.
I think afterwards, I think the team that went, it included GNU members. You know what I'm saying to you? I think it was a very tough and almost.
Some of them,
But there were some barriers broken down. But it was. I mean,
Ostersen's voice was shaking. The guy was scared. I listened to him. I mean, maybe it's because I'm an audio guy. It's like pitching his voice out there. He was scared.
Who was scared?
John. Is John here? He was supposed to be here. Helen apologizes. She was supposed to join us, but something came up.
I think it was a collective. Attempt to make the country
a lot of our
credible.
guys embarrass themselves. Let's be honest. You don't have to say it. I can say it. No, they're embarrassing. Some of them.
No, I think we faced I often think in my own mind, what could have been said in that Oval Office. And I'm not sure anything. I'm not sure any statesman-like, any comment made would have managed to reverse us out of the
I'm lucky I don't run a globally listed business, so I can get away with saying certain things.
Yeah.
Let's come back to the business. I don't think we have a full appreciation of the scale of the business that Discovery Group is. You now operate out of this small town in about, 47 markets?
That's right.
Right? With over 40 million clients. The last guy that I know tried China and did well would have been Becker. The next guy that I know would be you. I don't know a lot of guys who've done well. Out of South Africa, what you've done with the group in the UK, it's unbelievable. The Asia business is pumping. The work that you're doing on the African continent is very inspiring. And yet, for a whole lot of entrepreneurs watching and those who are in the room, and I think I asked Barry this, you don't like buying. You don't do a lot of M&A work. You seem to like greenfields, starting stuff from the ground. Take us through that journey and a sense of which markets you are operating now.
But, firstly, we operate here in the UK as institutional insurers, right? But the other markets, we work with partners using our Vitality model. So it's kind of a partner model. But the growth, to get to your point, is, firstly, if you can grow organically, that is much more powerful. You're not wasting capital on acquiring something, the risk. Very few big acquisitions work out well. You've got to really know what you're doing. It's a lifetime of work. It's a lifetime of challenge. But that's not the issue. The issue is that we've developed this kind of homegrown model of this Vitality shared value business model that really works well of incentivizing people to be healthier, and this integration into life insurance and health insurance and our banking, etc. And that model is something that if you acquire a big life insurance company in another country, you can't inject that into the back book, of millions of people. This is something that's sold to new people who buy in. So the model is really about acquiring new customers on this basis. And therefore our approach has been, let's rather work with partners globally. They have kind of the capital, the steel, all the structures in place. And that's how the model's worked. It's in its infancy, I believe. I think we are doing a lot more scaling. We have a fantastic launch with Google, in fact, in 2 weeks in London, around really scaling up Vitality to this idea of Vitality.
Guys,
AI.
we're all insiders now. Bye.
No, we've sent invites out, so I'm telling you something you know. But the potential for it, I think, is substantial. We've got a lot to do, a lot of lessons. But my sense is if you were to acquire a company in another country, it's a lifetime of work. There's considerable risk, capital risk involved. If you can grow without having to do that, you should. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean we won't do that.
Do you think that is a reflection of your personality or an overall business strategy that generally would seem to work across?
No, I think it's both. I think that if you can grow organically without massive capital and risk, you should.
Right.
And you'll create much more value for shareholders. But at the same time, I am cautious around that. I'm scared of a big acquisition and doing the wrong thing. And I think...
You got punished in America, didn't you?
We got
punished in the US.
We did.
Yeah.
In our early...
Has that traumatized you, America?
I don't think it traumatized me. I think we learned...
Tell us about what happened. Barry. Where's Barry? Can I get a microphone? I don't trust AG on this one. Can I get a mic this side? Where's Barry?
He's not there. He anticipated
He ran
the
out.
question.
And now, where is he? He's coming back. Great timing, brother. He knew just the right time to come back. So Barry is, maybe before I ask a question, AG, do you want to say a few things about this brother, Barry?
Well, Barry and I were young actuarial students at Liberty together. And when I kind of started Discovery and started the first, the process of it, he was the first guy I recruited. And so he and I kind of co-founded the business. It took me a lot of time to convince him to join. It was just myself alone. but he took the he took the plunge after
Yeah, come closer,
one lunch.
if you don't mind, so the room can see as well. Yeah. Yeah, please, sorry, I interrupted.
So he and I we spent our university days together. We worked together at Liberty. We always made a really good team, I think with very different skill sets. And he was employee number 2, really. And it's been a great journey.
I spoke to Barry last week. He said it's been 33 years of the worst call of his life. Barry, right?
All I can say, given, is you're a far nicer guy on the phone than you are on stage. You're quite tough, eh? My partner here, Adrian, is a good guy. Done an exceptional job for this country and for this business. So someone we should all be proud of.
Yeah. So Barry says that you said something very powerful. Something about almost for 33 years, you are as excited about coming to this building and working with Adrian like you are from day one.
Yeah.
I thought it was powerful and moving.
We've had an excellent working relationship. And I actually enjoy it as the business grows. As Adrian said earlier on, once you've got the assets under you and there's so many opportunities that you create, there's more that you can do. If you've got the right people in the organization, you've got the right assets, capital, people, an excellent brand, I think it's just, the world of opportunities opens up for you. So, and that's what excites me. You want to see those opportunities all opening up all the time. I think a lot of companies don't encourage that in their staff, and I think our organization has been able to do that.
You attribute or accord a lot of the culture of the organization around innovation, disruption, discipline, self-status, and autonomy of business units, including their leaders, to Adrian's personality and character. Do you want to just share a bit about that?
Yeah, look, some people are, create the ideas, but I think what Adrian's excellent at is shining those ideas, developing them, thinking through them, giving it a lot more thought, delays the decision until the very last minute. And I do think that characteristic has enabled us to develop ideas a lot better than I'd say if we weren't without him. It's like pushed to the last minute, pushed to the last 100 meters, and that kind of intensity really drives excellence in this organization.
I called you primarily to talk about the pain of what happened in the US. What happened?
So look, actually, it started with First Rand. They bought a company here in South Africa called, it was a joint venture that's failed here in South Africa called Southern Healthcare Joint Venture. It was United Healthcare, which is the largest insurance company in the world, came into South Africa in the late 1990s and actually failed here. It wasn't a success in South Africa. And when they were getting out of it, they invited us to go to the United States to talk to United Healthcare, and Adrian went and saw that there was a lot of opportunities for medical savings account, what Laurie spoke about earlier on, our very first innovation. So when we went to the United States, we took that idea. It was a South African-born idea, and we took it to the United States. And it still works today. Medical savings accounts is a very popular product in the United States. But we had sort of the first 5 or 6 years when we were operating in the United States, we had an excellent journey. It really sort of grown quite exceptionally well. Okay. It grew quite exceptionally well. And then, unfortunately, we had a lot of competition in Illinois when we were operating. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, which was this sort of 800-kilogram gorilla in that market, really sort of was very, very competitive, and we couldn't compete with them on price, ultimately, and we had to get out of that market. It wasn't for, I think our products are excellent, our go-to-market plans are excellent in the United States, but we just couldn't compete with the...
How much did you lose?
I don't know, Adrian, what about $30 million, I'd say?
Million or billion?
Million.
$1 million.
It was towards the end that we lost the $30 million, that's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And your shoulders forgave you?
was an exceptional. No, really. Laurie is an exceptional guy. He obviously allowed us that freedom to operate as a shareholder. And yes, and look, since then, it was a blip in our business, but since then we've grown exceptionally well.
Well done, Barry.
Thank you.
So I'm imagining, AG, that with an experience like that, a few years later, you decide to experiment with a bank. We traditionally had about 4 strong banking brands, and then, of course, the boys from Stellenbosch with Capitec have done exceptionally well. Recently, we had Old Mutual coming back into the space, African Bank with acquisition of, I think it was Greenrod and Unibank. So at face value, it would seem to me that we have a lot of banks, and you guys decide to plow a lot of money behind Discovery Bank. What was the original proposition? What is it that you would do differently? Obviously, since now with hindsight, you seem to have done well. But day one, if I was your chairman, or if I had a bit of money, I don't know, man, bank with so many banks?
Yeah. I mean, just firstly, we had a JV with First National Bank. So there was a Discovery card, if you recall, for many, many years, and that was actually very successful. There was then a lot of debate with FNB about could we take the card, it was very successful, and blow it out into a proper bank in kind of a joint venture. That was the original idea. We could not reach commercial agreement with FNB on that. There were strong views from both sides. FNB were concerned, rightly so. They're creating a competitor in their own belly, etc., etc. And so we were left with how we proceed with this card business that got very substantial. We then had considerable discussions with our shareholders, and the view was, why not build a bank from the start? Capital heavy, do it properly. And the hypothesis, the idea was the Vitality shared value model that works so well. Could we make people manage their money better? Could we use the same Vitality idea of Vitality money so that you get incentivized to manage money better? You get all kinds of incentives and rewards and structures. And then the idea of the digital bank, where there was a lot of these new starts coming out all over the world and here as well. But the idea of a bank of scale, not these very skinny banks of just an account, a proper competing bank. So it was a very bold vision, capital heavy.
How much did you put?
We put about 12 to 14 billion
Rand
to building the
over a
bank.
period of what time?
Over probably 8 years, I think, thereabout. And it's the one, I mean, you talk about our foreign to the US, although we lost a lot of money, it was over a long period, and we learned a lot in that process. The bank was the one area after 2 or 3 years, I woke up one night drenched in sweat, and I'm not a sweater, as I said. And I had this sudden idea I had sudden concern about, how you move clients from our banks are fantastic, they really are. You move a client from a great bank, FNB or ABSA or Investec, they're going to actually come and bank with us. But the reality is that the quality of the product, the quality of the offering, I think the uniqueness of the Vitality model, the leadership team, Hilton, who's the CEO of our bank, is sitting there, did the most remarkable job in building it. And if you use the bank today, it is exceptional. It's beautiful. It's accessible.
Profitable already.
It's profitable, which is unusual. And despite the capital, always was ahead of budget, which in a startup I've never seen.
Wait, the capital was...
So the actual business plan, we always had spent less than the capital plan had set out. So it has been the most remarkable, and we're seeing now 1,500 people a day, clients joining the bank. We're seeing the most amazing...
So last week, Hilton convinced me to go for the... What is it? The purple card, Hilton? I'm told it's some cool product. Apparently, everything I buy, I get change immediately. That's what your colleague said to me. Like everything. Like if they say something is 1 rand, me, I'm going to pay 70 rand or something like that. Love it. It's 70, no, 70 cents. I mean, some of these things are so confusing. On that note, because, I've often wondered, right? So you've got this very sexy brand. Actually, who's the curator of Discovery? Like as a brand, you guys are flipping sexy.
Well, I think Discovery, the brand, stands for a set of values and a world of innovation excellence. I believe that.
No, I mean, I'm just
And
it like looks good, sounds
oh,
good,
I see.
it's sexy.
Actually, Hilton is the curator
Yeah.
of.
Let's talk about the story of Hilton, actually. He was your AE. He is now CEO of South Africa and CEO of Bank. Talk to him about Hilton as a case study and talk to him about the Adrian Gore Leadership Fellowship story. We don't have a lot of time.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a complicated story. The belief, as I said to you before, of brilliant people, bringing them in and giving them the space to kind of do great things. And Hilton was a great example of that. He worked with me as an EA, but he and I worked together.
EA meaning executive assistant.
When he was a young child.
Yeah, like you could say, get me some tea. Like,
No.
As tea.
More as an understudy and a colleague. And we developed a tight.
In Shanghai and EA, Famba and Latia.
I'm not being fair to him. He and I worked as a team, but his brilliance and drive was soon evident. You know.
Yeah, he's an actuary.
He's an actuary. So, you know.
Yeah, apparently to get a job here, you have to be an actuary by then. Even to make tea, you need to be an actuary at Discovery. Yes.
So he and I developed quite a unique chemistry, and like with Barry, you know, we have different skills in a way, but we see things and values and purpose in the same way, and that partnership has worked well. In fact, when the bank was scaling at the start, we had a very complicated time of building the bank.
I remember him as chief marketing officer in those days.
Yeah.
How did he move from, he's an actuary, he goes to product development, goes into marketing, then CEO of a startup, then he's running the country. How does it work?
It works on talent. I mean, frankly, it's not a complicated story. We've got people, Hilton is absolutely brilliant. We have a lot of people in our organization that can do jobs in different areas, and Hilton's knowledge of the organization is
And what is the story with Dinesh? Because Dinesh has some stages in marketing as well.
Dinesh now runs Vitality. So people grow and move around. I think that is the hallmark.
Why do people not leave this company? Do you overpay? You pay well, or they're scared? What's the story?
I think
Like everyone I've known who's ever worked for Discovery, they don't leave.
I think that,
Is there some?
you know, I quote Hotel California. You can check up, but you can never leave. You know, so people go, they come back. Even Tito came back.
Yeah.
But I think that there's an owner-manager culture. People feel, all of our team feel like founders, you know. And there's an intrinsic motivation about that. There's not a transactional relationship, do this, earn money. You know, I think our people feel a sense of purpose, and therefore they feel we're a movement, you know, doing good. Even in this complex NHI debate, our determination to find ways to make it work. We've got huge amounts of people working on that to help find structures that can make it work. So this is a business of purpose, and I think that the people here feel that sense of purpose and what we're trying to do, and therefore I think they stay in.
What's your how proud are you of your profile from a transformation point of view as a group?
I actually think we've done well. We need to do better. I'll tell you something that's interesting on if I think about it. When we started out, even 8 or 9 years into the business, you think about how transformation has played out. There was no one of color at all in the business, except doing, you know, kind of basic jobs, etc. The real old South Africa structure. I look today, firstly, I think 60% of our entire base is female. And our leadership team, manager and up, I think is more female than male. So that's one thing to say. Then in terms of race, I think 80% of our company is non-white.
No, what's that?
50%.
You mean black?
No. I mean 50% is black African.
Yeah.
And the other, I hope I get my numbers right, 30%
Guys,
or
South
so.
Africa, there are no non-whites. There are black people and there are white people.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's more complicated.
Nobody should be described and defined against another.
Yeah, so sorry.
So 80% is black. Proudly so. Well done. Which is made of then the subcategories of black would be African, Indian, and colored.
Colored.
Others are so-called colored, which is even the so-called part is problematic. But you said what, 60 or 80% is black?
80% is black.
That's impressive, bro.
Yeah, it's impressive. I
Well
think it
done.
is. I think it is. I think it is. We can.
And this is off. You employ about 13,000 people, I think, last time I checked. Across
13,000.
13,000.
Yeah.
In this building alone, you got about
8,000.
8,000 people in this building. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
So
That's
so,
huge.
and it's a team of unbelievable talent. I can tell you,
Yeah.
the quality of our people.
Yeah, I'm told you don't compromise. You like
No.
clean up all the smartest people. Do you overpay them?
No, we don't. I think we pay competitively, but I think that there's value in being here that's beyond money, I hope.
Yeah.
I think if you have to pay top dollar, you don't have a great
They
company.
say you don't like Discovery robs black doctors. Apparently, you like over scrutinize black doctors when they claim, and you let the whiteys get away with it.
You never heard Barry. Barry was saying you're a much nicer guy in private than in public. Not true. Not true.
Talk to him about it.
In fact,
Because
I
at some
feel-
stage it was a highly spoken about thing, right? That you are alleged to discriminate against black health practitioners, and that you apply more scrutiny to black doctors when they claim, and whiteys are like, sharp.
Completely and totally incorrect. And it's one issue that I get pretty hot under the collar about. It's unfair, incorrect, and egregious to say that. The reality is that our systems. I mean, this was an investigation of the medical schemes as an industry, because there was kind of a sense of the statistics of black doctors in the fraud process was higher than white doctors. All the analysis we did, and I can show you, and there's a lot of reasons and there's a lot of detail behind it. There is no bias whatsoever. There is no issue that black doctors are more fraudulent than white doctors. That's not the case either. But there was a series, in our view, of very complex misunderstandings on the data. And we did a huge amount of work to try and correct that. And in fact, we don't even capture race of doctors. So we don't even have the data to know, to your hypothesis.
Easy, carry, go.
Yeah, but once it
Except for that, by the way. Except for that, you know that your surname, if you come from Limpopo, you know what they call you? Adrian Gore. So you can get away with being a black doctor.
Listen,
Adrian Gore.
Listen, I've been told that.
Dr. Gore. Otlo better Gore.
but I can't let you get away with leaving
Sure.
that impression.
Sure.
That's not correct. And I assure you that this is an organization of ethics and values, and nothing like that ever happens. Our algorithms and structures are meticulous, non-racial, checked, audited. They are meticulous.
Wasn't there like some investigation that kind of cleared you? Is it done?
Well, there was the
it's
process
still
was a multi-year process on the industry,
Yeah.
and I think we came out of it relatively well. But that conclusion was a complicated conclusion. You couldn't not conclude that given the data. So it was a very, very complex process. But
And have you felt a need from a group point of view to, beyond accusation, proactively deal with it? And I don't know if this is Felicity's job and team, whether it's a comms job or it's a sentiment thing. Or
I think we did-
what's a diagnosis or take on it?
I think we dealt with it, I think, quite harshly in the way that our team communicated strongly, as I'm doing now, about how egregious that finding was. And we were absolutely, how can I say, clear and strong on our view on that. And I'll tell you now, I deal with so many complex, ambiguous things. This is not one of them.
Right.
This is if we will stand our ground on this issue and will not back down. This is an organization that is patriotic, non-racial, pro our healthcare system, helping support what we can, and that conclusion cannot, in my view, be allowed to perpetuate.
You know, Adrian, I went to a very good school, Banguna High, like better than Michael House. in Limpopo. But I can't for the life of me still tell the difference between a medical scheme and a medical administrator. What's the difference?
I also went to good school, and I had difficulty as well with that question. But no, the difference is that the way the law is structured,
Right.
the actual funding of health care is through a fund that is a separate fund from the company that actually administrates it. So the fund itself, where the money is collected, your contributions, go into a separate fund called the Discovery Health Medical Scheme that has its own trustees. It's regulated very tightly by the Medical Schemes Act. And then it pays an administrator, which is Discovery Health, to manage that fund.
That's the company.
That's the company.
Right.
So all the administration, all the structures, all the products sit in Discovery Health. The fund is kind of has a fiduciary duty of holding the money, of making decisions about how that's spent, on how the benefits may operate, working with the administrator. So it kind of it's a structure that allows a for-profit entity, because you need capital to build all the administration, but to make sure that the actual handling of the money is not for profit, so that there's no one profiting on not paying claims.
So who decides on premium increases?
Ultimately, the trustees of the Discovery Health Medical Scheme make that decision. They'll be
These
advised.
guys are like, we want more money.
It's not that callous. It's a very, very complicated process of analysis for months from our team on all the actual clinical issues. That goes through a process of governance with the trustees. We will recommend, based on what we're seeing, what we think inflation will be. Ultimately, the trustees will decide, and then that becomes the...
And then, so the company collects premiums. Is it who collects the money?
The company, we administratively collect the money, but the money goes straight into the scheme.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
What about me, guys? No coke. It's for me. Banzona coke. So the premiums are collected by
Administratively collected.
Right. So where does it that you're very efficient at collecting, but when people are sick, then it's a struggle.
I don't agree. I think that the scheme and the administrator work very hard to very carefully make sure claims are paid where they should be claimed, where they should be paid in terms of the rules of the scheme. And if you don't do that, you get rapid medical inflation, and your contributions go up even higher. And again, to make the point, there's no money in it for us to not pay the claims or to pay them slower or quicker. We want to pay claims where they're absolutely in line with what the rules of the scheme say. And if you look at our data, they are paid very quickly.
But they say, for example, I've heard people say, we've been hearing, upon us announcing that we are talking to you as our guest, some people like, ask him why my mother had cancer. We paid our premiums, and then come trouble times, your friends at Discovery, now there are stories, hey, you qualify, hey, you don't qualify, hey, you should have or shouldn't have. When people are in pain, they say, some of them, you become difficult.
Look, I want to make the point to you, and I hope you understand that the governance that's used in deciding on claims is meticulous. So when you deal with complicated cancer cases, there's experimental drugs, biological drugs, things that do work, don't work. Our approach is absolutely to meticulously work with the best medical advice. So these complicated claims and cases where you've got very complex and expensive drugs, those things are always and typically given to medical advisors and boards and structures that advise us on that. There's no discretion of individuals deciding we do pay claims, we don't pay claims. Things are meticulously done, so we do the right thing.
So isn't that inherent conflict that you are essentially an intermediary-driven type of a business? You got salespeople who sell your products, but not a salesperson wants to meet target. Is it your experience that these guys are thorough in breaking it down when they are not in a hurry to collect or a customer, that only in tough times you realize that actually I did not understand the extent and the detail involved in signing up for this product. And then you end up with very sad, sick, angry people.
Listen, I think that this is a highly regulated industry. So advisors are trained. There's regulation around how advice is given. But listen, factually, healthcare is complicated. When you do get sick and structures and things happen, there are complications. But if you look at the data of the percentage of claims we pay, and I don't know if our CEO of Discovery Health is here, the percentage of claims we pay versus what is claimed, it's incredibly high. It's in the high 90%. So the actual quality of care that I think people get is remarkable. And on those marginal cases where there is complexity, we do the right thing. Not all things are covered, and not all.
Hey, finally. Can see.
And not all complicated drugs necessarily should be covered. So these are complicated processes. And I will tell you, I think the test of your question is the size of how big we've got, the very low lapse rates, in other words, the low percentage of people leaving us, and the very stickiness of our products. People stay with us. And I have to say, for us and the industry, I think that if you're sick in the private healthcare system here, you get world-class care.
Yeah.
That's the reality. That doesn't mean that everything is covered. It can't be. Else our premiums would be double what they are.
I'm fascinated by the story of, because at face value, I thought like Vitality was a nice marketing gimmick. Where's Dinesh? Bossman, do you mind standing up? Maybe come closer. So this brother, last week, I think, or the previous week, having sold us the story of, hey, eat healthy, and then, hey, go to gym. Last week, he says now, actually, you want to pay us for sleeping.
That's right, Kevin.
Dinesh is CEO of Vitality. Do you want to take us through that whole sleep story and the ring? And I'm worried, by the way. Look, bruh, you monitor me driving, right? You monitor how I spend money. You monitor me walking. Now you want to monitor me in my sleep.
So, Kevin, Adrian's taught us two things, to embrace data and technology. And the data over the last few years, we've got more data than Apple to decide on doing sleep. So we've gotten 47 million nights worth of data from over 100,000 people over the last 3 years. And the data was scary. If you sleep poorly, and I was talking to Laurie Dippin about earlier, if you sleep poorly, you've got a 22% higher chance of death.
What do you mean by sleeping poorly? Like maybe sleeping on your
poorly
bed
is irregularly less than 7 hours or more than 9 hours. And poor sleep, disturbed, sleeping at different times. Regularity is very important. Going to bed around the same time is very important. So if you're doing that badly, 22% higher risk of death. And I'm sitting next to Rob in car insurance. 36% higher risk of being in a motor vehicle accident. Now, these are big stats. There's more stats behind it. 65% higher chance of getting diabetes, 33% higher chance of heart disease, 20% higher chance of depression if you're not sleeping 7 to 8 hours and getting to bed at the same time, getting enough REM sleep, deep sleep. So the data forced us to think about it deeply, saying our core purpose, Adrian's taught us, our core purpose is to make people healthier. We do that through screenings, we do that through exercise, we do that through getting people to eat healthier by lowering the cost of healthy food items with our partners, get them to go to gym, all of those things. Now we're saying we've got to get them to sleep. So we use technology. Adrian's wearing the Aura ring.
You want the country of sleepists.
We want to give people rewards for going to bed around the same time and sleeping 7 hours and all of that. Why do you think you're ending in about 10 minutes so we can all get a good night's sleep after this?
No, we're going to drink after this.
So we're just trying to get people healthy.
So you then partnered with Aura. Talk to us about that. Like, how does it work? These guys gave me a ring. Like, they want to watch who I sleep with, how I sleep, my heart rate at certain hours. Like, Big Brother is in your bedroom.
Your daughters are like my daughters. They all roll their eyes when we make dad jokes. But I think...
They know their father well.
So Aura is by far like the gold standard in terms of sleep tracking technology out there.
Yeah.
The Apple Watch works well. Adrian's Apple Watch works well. My Garmin works well. But Aura is by far the best. So we spoke to them in California and partnered directly with them to bring Aura rings here and make them affordable So all of our members can get a big discount on it. But, you know, sort of with the Discovery Purple card, I can see the purple Discovery card staring over us.
Yeah.
With the Purple card, you can get it fully funded if you're sleeping well every week. So the way we get people every week to develop an exercise habit, now we're hoping all of you develop good sleep habits as well.
Well done. You're very obsessed as a company and as a group and as an individual. And I want to ask you to take it to the nation. Innovation disruption. We have a lot of South Africans who are doing amazing things all over the world as individuals. But we don't seem to see that translate into overall national benefits. What is it about our psyche that we could invest so much? Americans are on your face, bro, about proudly American, USA, made in China. My sister here, Patricia Dillon, has got some of the best products. Natural, cultural. I mean, I don't think so many people got competitive or similar products in tourism like we do have. What are we missing that we are not getting our message out there? First to ourselves and then to the rest of the world.
Listen, I think given the narrative of the average South African is very negative, and in many cases quite angry about some of the things they experience, and in many cases they're justified. And I think that often conceals some of the pride we should have maybe in the potential, as we spoke earlier about. So I think there is a psyche that we should try and we need to, I believe very strongly, need to raise and give people the sense of what there is here, to that very point I started out with. So I think that issue is fundamental. I don't think we're doing that badly. I think in tourism, it is one of the areas that we're doing well. We can do much better. It's a long haul to get here, so there are natural issues that we face. But I think that you look at I agree with you, I think we have probably one of the best products in the world, so to speak, to sell. But I do think we need more national pride. And as I say to you, I think that doesn't mean that you aren't critical of some of the stuff we're facing in crime and corruption and all of that stuff. I think it should make you even more critical, if you have that pride. So that's been one of my life's work, is to focus on how do you change narrative, because narrative affects how things play out. So I agree with you. I don't know the answer to it. But I think that as leadership, we do need to think about it.
What is your assessment of the state of race relations in South Africa today compared to, say, 5, 10, 20 years ago?
I do not believe it's bad. I think on the ground, the average South African gets on with each other well. That's my impression.
Do you think it's profitable for politicians to keep hoying? Do you think there are political parties that still thrive on the Swartgevaar? What is it, Swartgevaar?
I think it's inevitable that political parties will play all the cards in every country all the time. I mean, there's more polarization around the world than we've got here.
Yeah.
If you look at the last election, I think 75% of the vote was the moderate, middle-of-the-line parties. And I think that South Africans are remarkable. I think they get on well. I think they like each other. I don't believe race makes a massive difference. I don't believe that at all. I think that I think it's one of our greatest assets, the incredible warmth and good feeling amongst South Africans. That's my impression. So I don't agree with you.
What should we do with people who want to benefit or thrive from racism?
I think we should be very intolerant of it.
Do you think we should publicly boycott racist companies? Or those that portray and act in racist tendencies? How do we punish them?
I would assume that happens naturally. If companies are overtly racist, I do think that should be somehow sanctioned by people not supporting them.
What should happen in management when we've got racist colleagues or sexist colleagues?
It should be dealt with immediately.
Do you think our laws allows for us to deal with fools who ill-treat other people?
I don't believe you can rely on a justice system to regulate everyday interactions unless you're outside of, acceptable standards. I think those interactions between people is a good faith values issue that you can't regulate. That's the culture of the country. And I actually think we do pretty well. That's my impression. I mean, I'm amazed that we have a city the size of Joburg without traffic lights. Right? I drop my son at school across, it's 10, I think 15 Ks from here. I go through these robots. It's the most bizarre thing. People are courteous. We've got beggars now who are doing the traffic. I mean, on one level, it's ridiculous. On the other level, how could you argue we have bad relationships? I mean, come on. We've learned, it's amazing. I'm not condoning it. I'm just telling you. No one even hoots anymore. We are kind of got used to this stuff.
You know, in some economies, business people have decided to take politics head on. And actually, some of them done well. Bloomberg, as a business person, did fairly well as a mayor of New York. Giuliani, well, did fairly well. Actually, he did, actually. He became a fool after, but before that, he was a good mayor. Then the Republican thing, he over became more Republican than the Republicans themselves, and look at him now. If someone was to say, Gore, you are so in love with this country, stand for Mayor of Joburg, Hilton, and the team will run Discovery. Would you consider it?
So, no offense, Hilton. No offense, but no.
Is it because you love your job more or because you're scared of what happens on the streets?
You know, I want to say one thing to your one point about love the country. I think it's not a matter that I have some irrational love for the country. I'm optimistic. This is our home.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
I get extremely upset when people come and run down my home. I accept that it's got problems, but I'm trying to just make it clear to you. My attitude is not naive optimism or some ridiculous idiotic patriot. I'm saying this is what we've got to work with, right? You've got to make it work.
Yeah.
And I'm you call an activist. I'm not sure I'm an activist. I'm a believer in action, fixing things and leadership.
Doesn't mean high. Activist is exactly that. You believe in something,
you act
and
on
you
it.
do something about it.
Yes.
That is why our theme, Adrian, is the power of now. I think society is sick and tired of people who have mastered the art of articulating sentiment that resonates with people's fears. I think people take more seriously people of action, particularly people with power who don't abuse it. So that's what being an activist means. I can tell you, you're an activist. I believe you are.
I
think your life story is. And I think if your people in your life don't tell you that, they rob you. I apologize on your behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, Adrian Gore, the activist. As we conclude, there are a lot of entrepreneurs, Adrian, who would love to build a global business like yours. A part of me feels like you have robbed us as a country because you, Shilongo, over-understate the scale of this group, the impact of this group, the influence that you have on society. If you were to think about a 20-something-year-old girl, boy, South African, who wants to build a Discovery like, there's a sense that our economy accommodates and only allows a certain amount of large players, 3, maximum 5, per category of industry, that this economy is not friendly to startups or emerging businesses. What would be your message to an ambitious, probably not an actuary, from Limpopo, who wants to build a Discovery like?
What would the message be? Firstly, I think it's doable. I don't buy that. You know, every country is hostile to starting up businesses and the complexity when you go up against big competitors. It's doable. I think that I think the issue is you have to ultimately have a product that society wants, the deep conviction that can work. And coming back to where we started with Lowry, that was the difficult test that we faced. Do you actually have a product that a company wants to buy and use? If you do, you will find the market here. And you'll find a very big market. So all this intellectualization, and there is terrible red tape and there are a lot of issues that SMEs, as a country, we are not fair to SMEs, and that's where jobs come from. We need to do better. I'm involved in that, I'm agreeing with it, but I'm saying intellectualizing all the stuff that you can't. If you can't break in, you don't have a good enough product. If you have something that works, you will find shareholders that will back it, and if you do, you'll find people that will buy it. Don't fool yourself. So my advice would be just be certain that you have something or you've tested something that really is people need or society needs, and then find the right shareholders. And I was lucky to. And if you do, you should succeed. And it will take the life out of you to get there, but you can do it.
Are entrepreneurs, like leaders, born or made?
I think they were made. I think they're made. I think everyone in their heart wants to build something that reflects their own dreams. I really believe that. I think the idea that after the fact they're an entrepreneur, I don't necessarily believe that. Entrepreneurs come in all shapes and sizes, colors, IQs. There's no one size. I've seen the research. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I think that we all have that
What
potential.
environments are more enabling for entrepreneurs? What type of environments?
You mean, if you look at the economies,
Yeah.
I think ones where there are capital markets that fund venture capital, which I think we don't have sufficient of.
Yeah.
Ones that don't have red tape that we, I think, have too much of.
Yeah.
And ones where you can access finance and funding. And I think ones where there's a tolerance of failure. You know, I don't
There's a lot of
think
stigma that comes with failure in this country.
But I think that's
We're
maybe
not
one.
kind to those with talent.
I think that's one of the American successes that people fail and start again. You know, and failure is not good. Avoid it if you can. But I think you need that. But we need to laud entrepreneurs. We need to make them heroes because they create jobs.
You've done a lot of stuff with Endeavor, with SME Fund, etc. What have you, particularly also with the CEO collective, what do you think we can push aggressively, whether it be on a policy side? Pakstow and the team at the DTIC have got Z Diamond and the NEF. They've got the Transformation Fund in the making. I know that Busa has made some comments onto that. At face value for me, the NEF, for example, the only platform I know that was unapologetically designed to fund black business has been the least capitalized platform in South Africa. So when I hear on an NEF platform that DTIC believe we can hire about 100 billion rand, some of it obviously which should come from the public sector, mechanics we may differ. Such an initiative, would you say, are those the type of platforms that we require?
I don't know. It's a complicated question. No, it is. I tell you why I say it. I think that starting a business isn't just about capital. It isn't. I think often too much capital is corrupting for an entrepreneur. Sure. I think Larry would agree with me there. I think the idea of scarcity of capital is a healthy mindset. You do need funds and structures, but I think it's about ease of doing business, ease of hiring and firing, little red tape, the ability to get bank credit when you need it. So these funds are good. I'm not suggesting they aren't. I don't think there's a simple silver bullet to it.
No, but even guys who have started, right? Your average black business person will tell you that just with a track record, expansion capital, almost impossible in this country. Tough. Very tough.
It is tough. I'm sure it's tough.
So what can we do to shift the needle? Particularly for entrepreneurs. You and I agree. Almost every economy, you employ here about 13,000 people, as you say. The bank is growing, but as is technology, Hilton loves his technology. I don't know how many more people he can employ moving forward. But there are some businesses that can absorb a lot of skills who are not actuaries. We're not going to work here. Those types of guys don't tell me all the time on radio that they are not seen. And the one organization that I can talk about from personal experience, the NEF, has been one of the most proactive entities that really supports blackness. They've got their own weaknesses, but at least they're progressive. So we don't have funds dedicated to particularly black business, which is where the majority of your employees, for example, come from.
Well, let me say two things. Firstly, the SME fund that I chair, that came out of an initiative, the CEO initiative, is focused primarily on black businesses in the VC space. So the focus of that is to try and create a venture capital.
But you
market.
don't advertise on Power. How are people going to know this?
But let me say we've mobilized, but I want to tell you, we've mobilized about 10 billion of funding. That's substantial. So you look at the direct funds and the knock-on, that's a huge amount of money. It's certainly not my doing. Business supported it. The other point I want to just make clear to you is that, certainly from our research, big businesses don't create jobs. Jobs are created by SMEs that scale. And if we're going to solve the job crisis, it's not discovery that's going to do it. We've done well. We're a startup and we've scaled. We need
more of these.
We need more of these things. So I'm with you. I think it's one of the biggest opportunities and challenges.
AJ, I want to thank you. Time flies when we're talking serious stuff. A lot of people admire you. You've done so well for this country, my brother. We need more of your type and your kind. A hard worker, a disciplined brother, a leader who leads by example, but an inspirational leader. Do us a favor. Over the next 5 years, can you deliberately multiply yourself by 1 million times and make sure that as many people as possible know about the work that you do? You're an amazing South African. Keep doing your work. Thank you so much for that.
Sure, appreciate that. Thank you. Good discussion.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for making time, for being here. To those who are watching and those who are listening, keep listening. I'd like to say a special thank you to our friends at eMedia, ENCA, Khalik, Antonio, Norman, John, and the rest of the team. We'll see you guys. I'd like to thank my team and my colleagues at Shilomana Group. All of you. You guys rock. You're amazing. My family, particularly those beautiful girls, Ranzu in Cape Town, we see you, Valerie. AG, you and your colleagues, your EXCO, and most importantly, those of you who have taken the time to be with us today in person with all the responsibilities that you carry as leaders in your own right. We see you, we respect you. Papa, Ambona. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the 2025 version of the Chairman's Conversation. I'm your host, Given Kare. On behalf of Yakabashi Lumana, Balesh Tuba Ebegasdorp, you can see you. Good night.